All right, so week 3, today we are talking about a few different things. How do you control an audience without being bossy or offensive?
Right.
And that's going to go in a few different directions. We're going to talk about from your standpoint throughout the day as you're coaching groups and, trying to get the right shot and get people to do what you want them to do and things like that without, pissing
Coaching a bit
off.
of craziness.
Yep.
You're corralling it, right? You're not really butting up against anyone.
I'll talk about how to do that from an MC standpoint. And
you have a larger group of crazies to deal with.
Yeah. When I'm on the mic talking to the audience as a whole and wanting to engage and be charismatic, we'll talk about that.
Right.
We'll talk about the cheesiest things that either one of us have ever heard an MC say. I've heard a few in my day. You get to hear a lot more than I do because I'm usually the MC at my events, but I want to hear your feedback on that.
There's a couple of those for sure.
We are going to talk about things like shots that every wedding film should have. What do you make sure that you always get when you are making a film?
It's a tough one.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about how you handle when you're either the photographer or the videographer. How do you handle disagreements on where they should stand and what light you should have or where the tone should be, that kind of thing?
So you mean photo and video, different teams working together or not?
Yes. Yep.
Boom.
And then lastly, we're going to talk about first dance mistakes that every couple makes. That's what we're going to talk about today. So,
awesome.
Let's get into it. Let's have some fun. And if you are joining us at any point, if you're watching us, like Connie is, Connie, I appreciate that. And Kelsey, I appreciate you joining in as well. Make sure you say hello. Yeah. Wherever you're at out there, make sure you say hello to us because we want to say hi to you guys. So let's start with how do you control an audience without being bossy or offensive? Now, I'm going to take this on in a minute. But I want you to start because you take on earlier in the day. So
different kind of audience. Yeah, for sure.
I want to set this up by saying you shot video at my wedding. So I got to see you that day when we were on the party bus between the ceremony and the reception. And we were driving around town, hitting the different spots in Detroit. And we were getting, shots. And there was a photographer. And then there was you and your team. And hey, Alex, what's going on, my man? Good to see you. And so I want you, that day you were really, really awesome at the way you would have fun in a fun way, gather us all together and pose us and stuff like that without being like, let's go, come on, do this, do that. You were awesome about it. So that was the angle that made me think about this. So talk about how you do that.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of crowd control as a photographer or filmmaker on a wedding day. They both kind of wear a little bit of different hats, but I guess I'll talk about the crossover because you don't want to be a jerk. There are people I've worked with who can be jerks. Like you said, you can be bossy and you can you literally yell at people to do what you need to do, and they may do it, but it's going to be begrudging and it's going to be, like pulling teeth the whole day. They're not going to really want to listen to you. They might even just kind of do half of what you say and then boycott the rest of the time. So you got to walk this fine line. The bigger the bridal party is, the more they drink or the more rowdier they are, the harder it can be. But you have to just wear this little performance hat, I always say. So a couple of my mentors, as I was learning how to do this whole photography thing, said there's lots of different personalities out there. And sometimes if you're a really shy guy, I'm not super shy, but you sometimes just have to step it up when you got a big group. I remember learning, and there was a really shy guy. He's like, you could just create an alter ego for your photography day. Just be a little more assertive. Just be this guy you created who everyone loves. So you almost play a part. Sometimes I'll be comedic just to get people to laugh. You have the serious maid of honor who's always worried about every little detail for the bride. You have the overly boisterous best man who is half in the bag by the time they're getting their suits on in the morning, things like that. So you have to play this whole dynamic. So just having fun, it's their most exciting day of their life, right? So you don't want to take away from that by being a jerk or by yelling at people or, maybe you can yell at them, but in a nice way. You do it you make a joke. I like to joke a lot with their group, and I'll, make a joke where they're maybe mildly offended and be like, no, you guys, I'm just serious. It's all right. And then they're like, oh, okay, he's not a jerk. He's funny. He's cool. So you set that precedent and just kind of be one of the guys be one of the gals even while you're hanging out. So I think one of the hardest challenges I've ever had was like a 22-person humongous Italian wedding, right? So like 22 people plus the bride and groom. So you're at 24, and it's just like this huge mass of people who are drinking that you have to get on a bus, off a bus, move them around. And if you just talk to everyone like they're people or you're their friend, everything's going to work great. So I can be bossy. Sometimes, you'll say, hey, let's go over here and do this. And the whole wedding party's like, no, we don't want to do that. That's too far. Let's do this or that. But hey, it's for the bride and groom. It's going to be amazing. We're going to get this really great shot. And then literally you're off the hook. Let's do it. So then they do it as fast as they can. So I don't know, if I have any super secret tips, but just be fun. Enjoy the day.
Yeah, I think remembering that you are that line right there, have fun and enjoy the day. Like you're allowed as an event prof to enjoy, the moment and the day as much, and it can get a little monotonous and tedious as the season rolls on, week after week week of doing this kind of stuff. But you gotta remember to invest yourself as a person into those moments when you're doing those things. So
yeah, you gotta like literally remind yourself that this is the biggest day of their lives. They're spending a ton. All of their family and friends are going to be there. They are a little stressed too. So like if you can take some of that worry away, like you're supposed to do that as a professional, but also add something, it's going to go so much further than just like, all right, bride here, groom there, do this, and I've worked being photo and video, worked with people who kind of literally don't even call the bride or groom by their name. They just say bride here, bride, groom there.
Yeah.
These guys here, this guy, I don't know if they forget, don't care, or whatever it is, or they're just so like, oh, another wedding, here we go. But I always remind my team too, because we have an awesome team that I get to work with. This is the biggest day, the coolest day, the most exciting day they've ever had up to now in their life. So when you understand that and you reflect that in the way you connect with them and in your work, it's just going to be that much smoother for you in the long run.
Yeah,
we should all be, as a professional, your work should be great across the board, right? You might have different styles, you might have everything else, but like that's the entry level. Just like Coke is full of sugar, right? That's it. But then they sell the bubbly, family loving experience. And then I think that client touch and that little bit of love for your craft or your job is that extra bit that really sells who you are, as opposed to just like, we do really good photography. That should be the base for entry.
I've seen, so before I talk about my part of it, I've seen, like I've worked, as you have as well, so many planners over the years. And it's amazing to me what a wide, like a breadth of approaches different planners take. And I think some planners on what I would call my preferred method is, number one, they get to know the bride and groom and their bridal party. Bride and groom certainly for months and months, and then the bridal party the day up.
Totally.
But they talk to them like they're friends and not like they are, sheep that they're trying to hurt. So that they're polite to them and they're like, are you guys having fun? Awesome. Hey, I know you guys wanted to get this shot over here. Can I borrow you guys for a minute and bring you over here? Guys, do me a favor. I'm going to have you leave your drinks right here just because it's going to be a little easier. Don't forget, pocket squares, everybody. Throw your coats on. And then I need everybody in like 30 seconds. I just need you right here. If that's like, there's a demeanor with which you can present yourself versus now, let's go. I need everybody here. You're especially, you mentioned it, as the day goes on and a couple drinks get flowing. It just like there's a way that you can talk to people to get the results you want. Now, when I'm on stage, so there's my version of this answer. How do you control an audience without being bossy?
Yeah, totally.
There are times when I'm on a microphone, and that is to get their attention when I'm about to do the grand introduction. There is when I'm introducing multiple people who are going to do toasts and speeches and prayer. Then there is getting everybody before they do their first dance as husband and wife, and then right after that, the father, daughter, and mother, son. So like those are the three main times when I have to command the attention of the room. And at each one of those, if you think about it, for anybody that's been to a wedding, right before the grand intro, everybody has just flooded into that room, and they're looking for their seats, and they're hoping to grab one more drink before dinner. And
and they bump into somebody they hadn't seen in years, and it's like the height of the crowd's connection.
Yep. So the first thing that's important to me, and whether you're on a mic like I am or whether you're directing a crowd, I think it's the demeanor in your voice. It's either this, ladies and gentlemen, I need your attention, please, versus welcome everybody. I'm so glad that you are all here tonight. Welcome to Detroit. We are going to have so much fun. And I put a little like dummy talk in there that's not that important so that they can hear a loud voice on the mic because I don't want to say anything like that I need them to hear right off the bat. So it's kind of like small talk. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to downtown Detroit. How y'all doing tonight? I'm going to have you direct your attention right up here, but it's all in that demeanor. It's all in that vibe. It's all in that tone in my voice. I'm looking, I'm waiting. I can see and I can hear that the conversation has gone to a dull. Now I can get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing tonight? We are here for our bride and groom. Yeah. And then, yeah, there you go. And then my second big thing that I do is I kind of like use my tools. I use the fact that they are here to honor this, this bride and groom who are having the greatest day of their lives. So I remind them of that. So like at the end of dinner, when I need to get everybody from, so like for 15 or so minutes, dinner has been winding down and people are mingling and they're not in their seats anymore. So the rumble has gone. And I need to get them up. So usually what I'll do is, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give them a warning. In a few minutes after this next song, our bride and groom are going to be celebrating their very first dance as husband and wife. Wherever you're at out there, if you finish dinner, hop up out of your seats, grab a drink if you need it. But I need y'all to start making your way up here. And then this is where I lean into them. We came to celebrate these two, and they don't want to celebrate their first dance alone. They want you to be a part of it with them, ladies and gentlemen. So I need you to come on, I'll remind them, like you're here for them, and I'm about to give them a big moment. So you guys are partners with me in this, and so it's all in the demeanor and the tone of your voice. But here's the key: I tell everybody, look at how I am, Mike. That's you. Oh, you said ciao. I'm like, oh, hey, there's another Mike in here, and he speaks Italian.
That's me.
That's you. There's a difference. Listen to the tone of my voice right now. And even if you close your eyes for a second, close your eyes and just listen to the tone of my voice now, and then listen to the tone of my voice now. You could tell of the two of those when I was smiling and when I wasn't. So if you are smiling when you talk, you are going to sound different. You are going to sound more friendly, more inviting, more charismatic.
Right.
That's always the tip I say. It's just no matter what you say, just as long as you smile when you say it, the tone will be a lot closer to what you want it to be.
Totally,
That makes sense.
Smile like you mean it.
Yeah, yeah. I was at the Detroit Athletic Club a couple of weeks ago, and it was like that ballroom there. It can be like really loud, and I remember thinking to myself that exact thing. Like they were all, because sometimes in that one the bar is in a different room.
Oh yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, so that's tough to like get everybody, but I know they can hear it. So like you have to speak slowly, clearly, and make sure that the key words of the sentence are, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to find your seats at this time. Our bride and groom are about to enter the room. We all need to be here to make sure we give them the greatest intro of all time. Like us, I'm like very clear with like the words and making sure that they can hear them. And then the other big one for me, and I'll use an example, is like the Shinola Hotel right around the corner from here. You've got cocktail hour, ceremony, cocktail hour, dinner, and dancing that all happen in different rooms. So at the end of dinner, when we need to get people to move from this room to all go to that room at around the same time,
right?
Because the bride and groom are not going to dance alone. They got to have in there. So I hop on the mic and I'm just very clear with who I'm talking to, what I want to say, and what I want them to do, but with a smile on my face. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that fantastic dinner. Always throw props to the host. Thank you to Shinola Hotel for that fantastic dinner. And then I remind them, our bride and groom want to celebrate their first dance. They are so excited to party with all of you, their friends, their family. But that said, we can't get this going without you. So I'm officially asking y'all to get up out of your seats. The band is getting going next door. What I need you to do is just walk down this hallway here, meet me in the room behind us, and I want to see you there in the next 5 minutes so we can get this party started for the bride and groom. Like very clearly explaining to them what I want them to do, but not being bossy.
You'd be surprised how many times I hear people that aren't you just kind of like you said, not smile. You can tell they're not excited to be here. All right, everyone, we need your attention, please. And there's no one's going to listen to this guy, or there's just like no authority in what they're doing, and they're not even excited to be there. So what you do kind of helps people like, oh, notice this guy's actually excited to be here. He's asking us to do something instead of telling them to do it with this ho hum, over here, never mentioning the bride and groom, never mentioning any of the fun they're going to have. It's just, we're going to do the dances now. No fun.
I wish I had the chance to be with you on weddings to see the other people that like MC and stuff. And honestly, I wish I had the chance. I do get to see a lot of the other photographers and videographers. And I got to say, in Detroit, we are pretty lucky. The group of you guys, the photo and video experts are pretty awesome. I mean, like there's
we have an awesome crew.
Yeah.
Same thing with the bands and DJs too. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but over the years, man, you see people that just don't know what they're doing, or they're brand new at it, or they're like, oh, this is my first event. I'm hired by this company. I'm all freaked out, and then they just kind of get up there and
yeah.
So,
if you're watching live now, or if you're watching the replay, I would love to know any examples or like memories you have if you're an event prof of either side, where somebody did an amazing job of like getting their message across and commanding the attention of a group or a crowd, with whether it was the tone of their voice or the words they said. Or we also love to hear horror stories. So I would love to hear.
Side note too, because obviously, yes, I filmed your wedding. The world may not know that Derek played at my wedding. So
I did play your wedding.
Yes, it was quite a while ago, and we weren't a huge group, but we probably weren't the most calm and cool and collected group, because if you get all the Paranos together, it's generally pretty loud and rowdy. So you get a good job of kind of corralling all of us and getting us to go, and it was just an epic, awesome party.
I can honestly, you guys are easy. Like I get tough crowds.
Well, we know what to do though too, right? Okay, hey,
yeah, right.
We're here. He's part of our team, so we're going to listen to this guy.
Yeah, true. You know what? Actually, that just reminded me is something that helps a lot is when you get a stakeholder, like usually a best man can be your best friend as an event prof. If I can get a best man who's not drunk and who like buys into what I'm trying to do, because we could play good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, totally.
Where I could be like, hey, everybody, I just want to gather you all. I want to get you all lined up and get you ready for your grand introductions here. That crowd's ready to go. Dinner's ready. We got to get you guys in there. I'm looking forward. And they're not listening to me at all. They're drinking and toasting. And then the best man will stand up and be like, hey, shut up. Listen up. We got to listen to the guy. Listen.
Yeah.
And like he'll totally like help. And I'm like, thanks, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, that's a great point. Kind of just building those like infiltrated relationships. Maid of honor, best man. A lot of times they're willing to just be like, all right, we need you.
Yeah.
Photo over here, whatever it is. And you're like, thank you. A little bit of teamwork goes a long way.
I love it. Okay, so takeaways. Demeanor, the tone with which you speak. Make sure you're always smiling. Interject, humor into your seriousness.
Yeah,
and find a stakeholder to help you, from within the group to help you do.
Yeah, and be there to serve. It's not your day. You're there to help them have the best day possible. And if that's kind of clear from the get-go, smooth sailing.
Amen. All right, that was a good one. I like talking about that. That's fun.
Yeah, I got a couple other little topics that spun off that we'll chat later about it in another episode, I think. We have to jot those down.
Oh, you know what? That's another one. So if you're watching this live, if you think of things that would be fun to talk about, even if you want to, like, we can insert a guest onto the screen and stuff like that. Please share ideas, because we brainstormed a couple hundred topics that we could talk about, and then we just pick every week. But
let us know what you want to hear.
Yeah, that would be super fun.
And then we don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, exactly. Make it the fun of just hopping on the camera and, chit-chatting. And I know it's only in the mornings that we're doing this, but we may have to like incorporate try like a nice wine each week or something like that. I don't know,
Oh yeah, right. Some wine, some coffee.
Yeah.
It'll be many, many things.
Yeah. Okay, let's do some hot takes on a few different things and have some fun. I want to hear some funny stories.
Sounds good.
Actually, here's one that I was actually thinking about from you. As I'm like a hobbyist videographer. I like to make my own YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I'm always trying. So like when I'm shooting video at the events that we do, the band does, or that I'm DJing, I'm always trying to make sure I get like the best crowd shots and all that, and shots of the band and the best songs and all that good stuff. what is like when you're shooting a wedding, is it either as a photographer or a videographer throughout the course of a day, what are some of the shots that you absolutely require that you capture? And like the easy one is if the first dance. Well, yeah, duh. Like we already know that. But like, what are some like behind the scenes things that you make sure you always get to kind of like make them from here to here?
Yeah, I think so. Photo and videos, a lot of crossover, a little bit different, because in the video world to tell a great story, you do need a lot of audio to capture. So like something we encourage our couples to do is, during a first look, either read personal vows or a note or something like that, or read a card to each other if they're not doing first look. So you get this little bit of story arc and narrative directly from the bride and groom. Obviously, they say their vows and things like that, and there's people giving speeches. But when you have a little more personal take, that's great. And then just great coverage overall, nice connecting between people. There's a couple like shots that stand out in my mind. I really like images or shots that can tell a lot of story in one second or in one frame. One of my favorites from a couple years ago is bride and dad at the end of church, like the back of church. It's just them two before you walk down the aisle, and it was this big Italian wedding and it had this huge gown and the dad was trying to figure it out and even to figure out how to lay it out. There was no one helping him. And it was this really cool moment. The light came in through the door, lit the bride and the dad, and they had this kind of shared smile of like, Dad, don't you know how to fix my dress at all? And he was nervous and a little bit teary-eyed because he's about to walk down. And I think just that one image like told this whole story of their relationship, from little girl to now bride walking down the aisle. So I really like those little connection moments, those in-between moments. There's a lot of really cool money shots, I call them, that you want to get for photography or videography. But those little connections, whether they happen in the exchanges or the in-betweens, instead while you're shooting, instead of usually people would be like, sweet, got that shot. But then you like hold a second or two longer, and there's usually something that happens there during the first, like the handoff right at the end of the aisle. That's a really cool moment too, because usually everyone will just go, boom, follow the groom. But then if you whoop, follow dad right then and there's tears coming out. And he's kind of just like walking back to his seat or back to his wife to sit down. And it's like this big moment. There's a lot of gravity to it. So those little bits are really fun to look for. And obviously you need to get all of the set parts of the day. You have prep, you have the details, you have, portraits of the bride and groom separately, individually with family and friends, wedding party, all of those things. But I feel like what helps tell more of a story and really the couple's story are those little in-between moments, whether they're words spoken for video, even captured on video, or just those like fun little one-offs on photo. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's awesome. So
I don't know if there's an official must-have, need this shot, but you're telling the story, so looking for those little moments would really count.
When I watch your guys' videos and a lot of the other videographers we work with, one of my favorite shots that I always see, and again that you put into ours, was like a location establishing, like where you before you cut to us, you had really, really cool shots of Detroit, like iconic areas and spots and buildings. You had like a panning shot of like the tiger statue in front of Comerica Park, and then you had like a drone shot rising up over the skyline with the river. And like that was so cool to start our video, because it was for us, it was so important that we did this in the city.
It was all about the city.
Yeah, and if you're just watching a video and all the shots are inside, we knew where we were, but like opening with those shots was like super, super cool to have those, shots of downtown Detroit. I loved that. And then something that I see, after every wedding, we ask, actually Meg's on the chat. Hello, Meg. Good morning down in Louisiana.
Oh, right.
She does a lot of our post-event, recap, like videos stuff, for socials. Right? And one of my favorite shots that I get, now I know as the entertainer, I'm a little biased in what I love to see, but we have some videos that we were given by videographers where the shot itself is like from the end of the dance floor looking through a group of people, and they're all blurry because of the lens, and it's super sharp on one person who's just having this like awesome moment on the dance floor, but the energy of like all the blurry people around him is really cool.
Right. Yeah. Super fun.
as compared to, like, I love the wide shot of everybody jumping in the hands up. Like, I mean, like, of course I love that too. But like when those shots of like one person on the dance floor having the time of their life, to me is like, those are the moments that I love, like the individuals, seeing them throughout the day,
Yeah, that's like similar to what I was saying. Those little moments that, you might not notice, usually like if you have two shooters, one person's kind of focusing, bride and groom, couple, family, immediate, everything. And then I always have to say the second one is looking the complete opposite way. And for those little moments, the crazy person on the dance floor, the little girls playing in the aisle during the ceremony, little things like that, the babies falling asleep. All of those little details really tell a whole story,
Yeah,
Super
for sure.
fun.
For sure. All right. What's your hot take, or what's your question?
All right. So where are we at? First, or worst work? Are we on the worst mic MC lines that you've ever heard anyone say on the mic? Is that where we're jumping to?
Yeah, I got a good one for that, actually.
Because I've heard some goofy things said. I've heard people called the wrong names. Bride and grooms just called bride and grooms because you could tell last second somebody forgot whatever their names were. So they're just entering the bride and groom now, things like that. So I know you don't always, I wonder, there's probably one or two goofy things that you've said or done. I don't know if you'd want to share them, but, you're not always on the other side. So are there any things that you kind of have that just pop to mind in worst MC? I can jump into some stories afterwards, but.
Yeah. So the worst MC lines I've ever heard. Well, first of all, something you said, if you're a bride and groom watching this, if you're a planner working with your clients and your vendors, one of the most important things you can ever do is get the phonetic spelling and so the right pronunciation of a names. And it's so easy to write it the way it sounds. So that's like a little like no-brainer, no excuse for this to ever. There is no excuse for you to
Except for extreme doubt and fear last second when it's about to go live and happen. Then you're like, I don't remember what I wrote.
Preparation.
Yeah, preparation.
Write it phonetically so that it's so like I make my brides and grooms laugh all the time when I have meetings with them I say just say it the way you want it to be said, and then I'll write it and I'll show it to them and they'll like laugh. There's no excuse for that. But okay, worst MC line in my opinion. And if you are somebody out there watching this and you do this, I'm sorry.
High five.
Stop doing it. Stop doing it. And it is this. There is this thing that I've heard MCs do. The bridal dances are over, and they're about to start open dancing. And some bands or DJs will start with a slow song. I disagree with that. I think you've been waiting all night to party. I think the first song to open the dance floor should be like a banger. But they'll start with a slow song, and they'll say this. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to open the dance floor and invite you all out. And there's an old time-honored tradition that for every couple that joins us on the dance floor, it adds another year of happiness and good fortune for our bride and groom. So that said, I need each and every one of you to join us on the dance floor right now. That is the stupidest line. I'm sorry. We're going to get real
like
on this podcast.
AM radio host.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone.
Or a strip club DJ or something. I don't know. But
everyone, come on out. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry if you have ever said that or if you still say that. This is your cue to stop doing that. Yes, Connie, the MCs that you could tell never had the direct call with a couple. And there are some that do that. Fill out this form, and then I will show up with this form. And they literally will show up at the wedding where they shake hands and say, oh, my gosh, bride and groom, groom and groom, bride and bride, couple, nice to meet you. Like, wait a minute, what? Like, they paid you thousands of dollars and you just met them? Like, come on, bro. So, no, that one, and any line like that where it's the exact same, you're reading a script to a crowd and you think they haven't heard it 10 other times.
Yeah, totally.
You got to realize if you are saying what I call an eye-rolling comment, stop doing it. And my tip to anybody would be have bullet points in your head. Those bullet points are, we are here to celebrate with the bride and groom, so it's time for all of you to get on the dance floor. That's the thing in my head that I need to communicate.
Right.
How I say that in the moment will be unique. I will look around and I will say, our bride and groom are still out here right now. I got my parents standing right here. This is not a big room. All you got to do is take 2 steps forward, and you are on my dance floor. Now, if you want to hear something, by all means, let me know. But this is the time when you are going to give this bride and groom the greatest first night anybody has ever had. I need you all on this floor. Let's go. And then we take off or something along those lines. But think about what is the message you're trying to say, and then just look around and just do it. And if you feel like, I'm not good in the moment, that's when you practice at home throughout the week. And you know what you could do? You could set a camera up just like this, and you look in it, and then you just do all those things. And then you record it, and then you watch it back, and then you act like you're an audience member, and you say, what I feel like that was cheesy, and if so, practice it again.
Do it again.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that.
All right. Yeah, but what about some goofy things you heard? Or what else?
Well,
you've been at some events, so that's yes. Don't do that. But is there any like super cringy, like maybe that you've been a guest? Finally, you're a guest at a wedding, and you heard somebody do something weird.
It's okay. So I'm not going to give any specific examples because I don't want to embarrass or like.
The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yeah. I've heard MCs, and it's most of the time it'll be like a DJ or whatever, but they kind of forget for a second that they're in front of 200 people, and they say something pretty inappropriate. Like somebody will be dancing.
Oh yeah.
And like they're doing the alligator, right? That dance to Taking Care of Business where you're on the ground and you tap your knees and you throw and they'll say like, whoa, looks like a full moon tonight. I just got to know that girl really well, and they'll realize, okay, I just said that on the mic. Maybe I should have thought about that before I said it. But the other thing is just the tone and the voice. So like I have my normal voice, which I speak with, and then I'm going to back away from the mic a little bit. Then I have my projector voice that I want to make sure everybody hears, but I don't make it sound like this. I make it sound like my voice at a commanding volume level. Let's go, everybody. There's the tone. Be careful of the cheesy tone, because that turns people off immediately. Yeah. Okay, I want to ask you, this happened to me at a wedding a couple weeks ago, and it worked out just fine. But the videographer was telling me, so I always ask, like, where do you want toast to happen? Do you want to be here? Because like you guys are shooting it, and I can do them anywhere. Right. But I always ask people. And he said, oh, man, thank you for asking. I appreciate you getting our input. He says, earlier today, we were getting shots in between the ceremony and the reception, and the photographer wanted them to be like in this pose, and I did not think that was the right way to go. But I ended up just kind of conceding because I didn't want to, hold us up or whatever. And it ended up being an okay shot or whatever. But it got me to thinking, like, there's got to be times throughout the day when you have two different, artistic minds that see things a certain way. How do you handle it when you have two different opinions on how you should frame a shot or capture a shot or something like that?
Good question. Yeah. First of all, you got to play nice. And photo, video, a lot of times I'd say photography generally has more of like that conductor role. They're going to lead the crew a little bit more, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be working with the videographer. They're there to do a great job for the couple too. So we have kind of a unique approach since we do both. The team's been working together for years and years and years, so we can kind of give and take. All right, photographer's leading, videographer's leading, and then back and forth, and we can cross shoot. Works really well. Sometimes we're doing single service, photo or video, and then you kind of have a different dynamic. Most people play nice, and everyone's in it to make the day for the couple the best it can be. Every once in a while, there is a disagreement. It might not even be like a clash of egos. It's just, hey, photographer wants things here. Videographer says, that's weird for light, backlighting, whatever, So usually the way I approach it is like, explain why I think that's a horrible idea, or maybe not say it like that, but, we'd love to get the shot here because then maybe, the bride will be here and the maid of honor will be right next to it, and we can get them in a great shot instead of shooting 2 different ways and then the DJ's in the background, stuff like that. Oh, well, they don't care because they're shooting on a different angle. So then, all right, maybe this time you have to just change your lens, zoom in a little tighter, whatever. But a lot of times if they understand why, then you can usually strike it, the middle ground. For things like speeches and dances, it's a little more solid, you know, okay, it's going to happen and then it's going to end. So like you have to have a plan beforehand and then you shoot it. Hopefully no one's in anyone's way. We use multiple cameras if we're just a videographer. So if someone steps in front of one, we have 2 others, no big deal. But during the wedding day before that, obviously there's going to be some creative differences. You have a photographer who wants to do this and a video or filmmaker that wants to do that. So, a lot of times if you're playing nicely, you can do both pretty easily. Awesome. You do that and I'll film some things and get some great shots while you're doing it. As long as I get 45 seconds over here to then do that. Every once in a while, you work with somebody from out of town who's like a big time fancy pantsy photographer or whatever, videographer on the other side. They brought me in. I'm going to control this whole day. I'm going to do it. And it's a real nightmare. But having done it for so long, you can still come away with magic. You just have to be proactive and you really have to work. Sometimes the photographer's leading and they get the shot and they go, great. And then the whole group just like dissipates. You just say, all right. Even if you told the photographer, hey, when you get that shot, don't say anything. Just let us swoop in. We'll get a cool shot too. They don't care. It doesn't matter. You have to then talk to the bride and groom or the whole wedding party and say, all right, once they say great, just keep doing what you're doing, kind of go past them. And then they kind of understand the flow, like, okay, it's their turn now, it's your turn. So just bouncing back and forth. Usually everything works out great. We've had people stand in front of, cameras for 10, 15 minutes at a time, where you'd be like, right here, you're in front of this. Oh, well, I need to be right here. It's like, you could be right here and then it'd be fine. So you do run into some things, but that's why we have contingencies too. So as a professional, it's always problem solving. You may have shot in the same venue a million times, the light, everything else, but now the new wild card is someone you've never worked with. And then you're doing the best you can to make it better than the bride and groom or the couple would ever expect. So that's the best way to do it. Be kind, but also go above and beyond too. So if you can't go this route, you might need to be creative in a different way and come up with some other idea.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Cool. So, all right, we've been talking about dances a lot. First dances. Are there any first dance mistakes you see? One quick story for me is a lot of times nowadays, I think couples are like doing this rehearsal and they'll have like a kind of fun ballroom dance or a little bit of a, more playful dance instead of just this, sway back and forth, which is really cool. The one thing that as a filmmaker, you don't always love is when they're either talking the whole time or singing the whole time. Because then when you're playing that video back, it's just a lot of face movement and not a lot of exciting swirls and things like that. So not necessarily saying you need to dip, swirl, jump, and spin, but just enjoy the moment, with each other and be present. So that's the one thing I always tell people, like, you can sing to each other a little bit. If it's your favorite song ever, go for it. But just hold each other. Just enjoy that moment. Be thankful.
Until you said that, I never, ever thought about that. I'll be honest. When I got married, I can even think of like my mother-son dance and the bridal dance. Like we were in there talking to each other, and it never even occurred to me. That's like a really, really good point when you're, capturing.
Hey, there's
content.
a lot of things that should be said at that point. I'm not saying don't ever say anything, but if it's the whole entire thing, it can lend itself to a little bit of a weird dancing video.
If the picture of the bride and groom on their bridal dance looks like, and their face looks like this, because they're in the middle of a word.
Constantly, yeah, that's hard.
I never thought about that. So here's the couple of things that I would say. You alluded to the first one, and it is the choreographed viral moment dance. So it all started because a few people have gone viral doing it, and it's become this trend. And it's either the bride and groom. More often, though, it's the father-daughter dance where they do it.
Yeah.
Now, I would say go for it if there's a reason for it. If the reason is, when I was a little girl, Dad and I used to dance in the living room to this song all the time, and we loved it. And even though it's not a slow, father-daughter song per se, it means something to us. Right. So we want to have fun and enjoy that moment together. Do it. If your reasoning is, I saw someone else go viral, and I want my video to be seen by 1 million people and be parodied on The Office, don't do it, because it comes across as insincere. Usually the execution isn't great. You know what I mean? Like, so do it if it makes sense for you. If there was no cameras, video, photography, otherwise. Would you do it? That's the question to ask. And if the answer is absolutely, go for it. So that's one mistake. The other one that's big is length of song. So it's very common that a groom is not a great dancer per se, right? Or that either one of the couple doesn't necessarily love being the center of attention, which is very much what you are when you are on the dance floor as a married couple celebrating your first dance, and all your friends and family are sitting around you. So
just at you.
Yeah, I will get a lot of direction where they say, make it as short as possible. Make the song as short as possible. And so I say, you bet. Like as a live band, we actually have a really cool way that we write arrangements of songs that we learn for our couples, and we can write those arrangements to be shorter. And they're like, yeah, man, 60 seconds tops. And I'm like, well, okay, hold on. Every song has a structure. There's an intro, then there's a verse, then a chorus, typically a second verse, a second chorus, a bridge, a chorus, out. That's your song structure. We can take out verse 2, chorus 2, maybe even the bridge, and just go from verse 1, chorus, and then to the outro or something like that, some version. But 2 minutes is a very short dance. Yeah. So I'll tell them, they'll be like, no.
I can't do it.
40 to 60 seconds tops. I'm like, I'll have just finished introducing you at the 60-second mark. Like, you got to let it breathe a little bit. So I'll remind them that 2 minutes, I promise you, is short. It will feel short. It will flow perfect. So don't try to over shorten your dances. That's a mistake. The other one is, don't necessarily make them too long either. Some songs are 5-6 minutes long, and if you don't think about it, you're 4 minutes in before you realize, okay, I'm so ready.
All right,
to
this is getting long.
Yeah, I'm ready to dance. And at that point, what they'll usually do is they'll look up at the DJ or the MC or whatever, then they'll be like, yeah, like, we're good. And you're like, well, there's nothing I'm going to do about it now. Like, I'm not going to.
30 more seconds.
Yeah, and so one of my biggest pet peeves when I'm teaching DJs and band leaders, MCs, how to run a wedding, don't fade a song out in the middle. Don't just fade it out. Don't fade it in the middle of a verse. Like, this day is about the moments that you create, and when you just fade out a song in a boring part of it and just start talking over it, you ruined it, man. It's got to be a moment. There's got to be an ending. There's got to be a point where the song ends and you say, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, put your hands together for the couple that we are here to celebrate tonight, and you do it. So you got to be careful about that. So I think those are the big ones, is don't try to do something cute and fancy unless it makes sense for you as a person and means something to you. And then be cognizant of not going too short or too long. I think anything between 2 and 3 minutes is the perfect length for a song. That's what I would say.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, man. Dude, we talked about a whole bunch of stuff today. That was fantastic. We're pushing 45 minutes, so I think that's about as far as we typically want to go here. Next week, if it's okay with you, I want to get into like not just photo video stuff, but I was hoping we could talk about just event professional business type stuff, how to increase the referrals that we get from our planners and our venues, and what we can
building
do as
a network.
profs. Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that, and then we'll see what kind of comments we get and what else you think of, and we'll come up with a bunch of other stuff, and we'll shoot the breeze for another 30, 45 minutes, man.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. What do you got coming up this weekend? Will you guys have a weekend off, maybe?
Oh, no, not this weekend. I don't even know where I am. Got a couple engagement sessions, actually. So engagement session and a monochrome collection. So pretty light weekend. Got most of my Saturday, which will be nice. But those days are few and far between. Come 1-2 more weeks, it's back at it. So how about you? Where are you at?
So, okay, I want to say, so as we record this, it's early March of 2026, so Q1, right? I think, at least up in this part of the country, most event professionals will tell you this is typically our slow time, where we get some weekends off for you guys, you do a lot of editing.
The last couple.
Yeah, for us, we're learning new music, but we also just have a time to just re-energize, spend time with friends and family. That has not been the case. We have, and yes, thankful for the work. Of course we are. Always. But we have been doing weddings, sometimes multiple weddings and corporate events every single weekend this year. So
Killing
this
it.
weekend coming up is my first true weekend off of 2026. And my wife and I, with some family members, are going on a little weekend cruise, going down
yeah,
to the
that's right,
Bahamas.
yeah.
So I am very excited.
Coming back with a tan.
So next, we fly in Monday night, and so then you and I will be back live Tuesday morning. So hopefully I'll have a nice caramely complexion and not a
You'll be here with a drink and a
I'm
coconut.
nervous. I'm nervous that if I like go down where my skin touches the border of the thing here, that you won't be able to tell the difference between that red and my skin if I get too burnt. So hopefully
not.
that'll be the case. Yeah. So anyway, fun weekend coming up, and then you and I back at it, and we'll talk about some fun stuff. But Mike, always a pleasure, man. I love talking to you, and I hope we
Same here.
just keep going and keep growing and get more people in the village here,
Yes, if you know somebody who might be interested, pass the word along, everybody. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll slowly build some subscribers on YouTube. And
smash that like button.
Smash that like button and share with all your buddies.
It really helps the YouTube algorithm.
Algorithms.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. Have a good week.
That's it. Sounds good.
Talk to you.
Peace out.